Robin, a world champion and an international champion. I think he might be the only one to do that in Masters for both. Either way, an incredible accomplishment. To win either one of those would be incredible, and he's won both. He's got a slew of other accomplishments, but yeah, it's hard to argue with a resume of world champion and international champion.
One of the strongest players in the game for both of these players, to be honest. Let's take a look at what decks they have brought to this tournament. And Robin has chosen something very interesting. The only player in this 8-person field with the Weavile GX Mewtwo Mew Dark Box deck, something that has been, you know, kind of hyped up ever since the Unified Minds expansion released back before Worlds 2019. I remember tons of players were testing that deck, and it ultimately just didn't do that well. I think Zachary Kreckler got top 16 with the deck, but other than that, that deck has just never seen that much success. But with the release of Chilling Reign, new life was breathed into the deck via the Galarian Moltres V. And Azul Garcia Griego, of course, rolling up with the Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX, partnered with the Cake Pokemon Alcremie VMAX as well.
Yeah, I think if you're Robin, this is exactly the matchup you were hoping to run into. Of course, Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX has a weakness to Darkness-type Pokemon, and Robin will be playing lots of Darkness-type Pokemon. Robin has a very, very unique build of this deck, I would say. We'll get into that as we go through the game, and we'll see exactly what he's got going on. But I'm really excited to see, will this build actually work? It looks so strange to me.
Yeah, it's definitely very unique. I'm excited to see how it'll play out, Kyle. Let's go ahead and get down to the table here and see what these opening turns will look like. Key cards to note for Robin, I think, obviously, you know, having the multiple dark type attackers, exactly what you want for this specific matchup, but is also, of course, playing the Darkrai and Umbreon GX tag team, which has one of the best, if not maybe the best GX attack, if you can get it all the way powered up to that full effect with Dark Moon GX.
Yeah, that's the key. Can you actually get enough energy to do it? With this deck, sometimes, yes, it does feel like pretty much whenever you use Dark Moon GX for the full effect, getting the auto knockout, preventing your opponent from playing trainer cards, that tends to be a game you end up winning. But it's just a matter of, can you actually get that much energy onto it?
Yeah, and getting the energy in play is usually the hard part. Of course, Weavile can move darkness type energy around, but it's a lot easier to get multiple energy in play thanks to Galarian Moltres, and also thanks to the red and blue supporter from Cosmic Eclipse, which Robin is actually playing 3 copies of. Robin very much relying on red and blue to accelerate energies in play, and has a couple of GX Pokemon to evolve into. The Weavile GX, which I mentioned, of course, to move those darkness energies around, and then also Silvally GX, used to draw more cards with that disc reload ability.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very strange build. There's only one single supporter card in his entire deck that can draw cards, and that's the one Professor's Research sitting in his hand right now. Everything else, I mean, you could use Guzma and Hala to search up your special energy and things like that. You have red and blue to search for your Weavile or Silvally GX and get some energy into play with them. But there's no other way to draw cards. It's just you were hoping that your Silvally GX can carry the load in terms of drawing cards. I guess you also have Dedenne as well.
Azul has a pretty solid start, gets a couple of Shadow Rider Calyrex V in play, but no energy attachment. Definitely an unfortunate thing to miss, and Robin is going to get things going. Having that one copy of Professor's Research here in hand on turn 1 is pretty solid, and a few Quick Balls as well. We'll be able to get multiple Pokemon in play, and has Viridian Forest as well to get the energy attachment. Robin really setting up pretty good here, has almost everything he needs.
Yeah, this is an excellent draw off the Professor's Research. All you're really trying to do is get a bunch of basics down turn 1 with this deck, and get some energy in play, and Tag Call's going to let him search for a couple tag team Pokemon here. I can't imagine we'll ever see him play down Mewtwo and Mew GX in this matchup, but gets you cards into your hand so you can discard them with Quick Ball. Not a bad little combo.
Definitely not. Robin does need to make sure he leaves himself with enough cards in hand to be able to utilize red and blue, of course, to get that secondary effect of getting energy accelerated to the Pokemon you evolve out of the deck. You need to discard 2 cards in order to do it. Robin could play the hand down pretty much all the way here with the way this hand looks, but wants to make sure that he's going to have access to using the red and blue.
I don't know if you caught that, Chip, but I think both Silvally GX are in the prize cards for Robin. That's a huge part of his draw engine in this deck. Now, thankfully, this is one of the matchups where as long as you can just power up attackers, you're probably good for the most part. We'll see if he can get Galarian Moltres V down this turn, start to suck up a few energy from the discard pile, and really get some stuff going. But we'll see if not having access to that Silvally GX is going to be a difference maker in this game.
Yeah, that normally would be a huge blow for this deck. But like you mentioned, if you can just get attackers powered up, you can really kind of ride on the coattails of being able to hit for weakness, and also prized one of the 2 Galarian Moltres. That also is something that could certainly come up here, but with the Dire Flame Wings ability, it's very easy to set up for a turn 2 or a burn. Don't even have to use red and blue in order to make that happen. It's not like Robin's got other supporter cards to rely on, though. Already used that 1 copy of Research, so if Robin wants to draw cards, it's going to have to be through the Dene GX, which... Oh, Robin did discard 1 on turn 1, and it looks like the other copy of that is in the prizes.
Yikes. Yeah, so Robin does have an interesting choice here. Obviously, you're always going to do this. Put down Galarian Moltres v Dire Flame Wings. You could Viridian Forest for a Darkness Energy and just use Dark Moon GX and say, hey, you're not going to get trainer cards next turn. It makes it so nothing crazy can happen. And then the following turn, you can just red and blue into Weavile GX, start attacking, and get some easy prize cards. So I think Robin may be debating, should I go for this or just be a little bit more conservative? And he's just going to pass and see what Azul can do.
Yeah, I honestly would have loved to have seen that. That would have been really strong because, Azul can obviously still attack and attach energies. Like, you can play cards. It's not quite like Iron Rule GX, not quite like Horror House GX that we've seen so much already today. But, if Azul can't play trainer cards, it's very unlikely that he would have been able to even get off an attack that turn. But Robin's just going to play it slow, just pass it over. Doesn't want to discard any of the cards in hand here. And Azul gets a Shadow Rider on the bench and also gets the Trevenant and Dusknoir into play. That could be a way for Azul to try to fight back in this game. Try to, limit Robin's hand. If Azul can keep cards like red and blue out of Robin's hand, there's an opportunity for Azul to just win the game before Robin can even get set up and just really prevent Robin from getting anything going.
Yeah, it's certainly possible if Azul's able to get a second Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX into play, a second energy. Oh, well, there's the VMAX. We see another Underworld door. And it looks like he will just go for this. And we're probably going to see a third energy. I would think we'll see if a third VMAX comes down as well. But if Azul's able to snag the red and blue out of Robin's hand with that Night Watch attack, this could be a different game. But if he goes for it and misses the red and blue,
oh boy,
then his Trevenant Dust it's going to take a big hit from that Black Lance.
Yeah, that's the risk here. Azul has a good opportunity to try to make something happen, and that might be what Robin was considering when he decided not to use Viridian Forest here. Didn't want to lower the hand size even more and open himself up to getting hurt even more by a Night Watch from the Trevenant and Dusknoir. We haven't seen an energy yet from Azul. I'm not sure if that Viridian got used. I'm sure it got used at some point in the turn, I guess. But if Azul already has an energy in hand, does play 13 copies, so it would be pretty unlucky to not find one here at this point.
Yeah, looks like he doesn't have it yet, though. Gonna keep digging. Put down Crobat V, and it's all gonna come down to these 4 cards. Yep. Finds it, and this is a huge Night Watch. Which cards does he get out of Robin's hand?
There it is, red and blue. That is a huge hit here. Robin left with a Quick Ball and an Air Balloon, and no Viridian in play to attack.
Yeah, that's right. Taking away the Viridian was also enormous. And now with 0 Dedenne GX in the deck, there's no Silvally GX everything in the prize cards for Robin. Taking away that red and blue with the Night Watch. This is just a brutal position to be in.
This is certainly tough. If that Viridian had not gotten discarded, Robin actually could have still just gotten a KO this turn. Aura Burn is, hitting for Darkness Weakness on that Trevenant and Dusknoir, but Azul was very heads up and going ahead and using that Marshadow, bumping that Stadium, knowing how good Viridian is alongside Galarian Moltres, and that just... Robin now, go ahead and play the hand down. Doesn't matter. You're going to lose those cards anyway. Is now relying on the top deck here.
And I need to remind everyone, Robin only plays one supporter that draws cards, and it's already in his discard pile. It's not like he even has good top decks here. There's no Professor's Research to draw. There's no Dedenne to draw. He's just living on the top card of his deck every turn. And I think he needs to basically just draw Darkness Energy to attack. If he doesn't, he's just going to have to pass.
One thing that is nice, Umbreon and Darkrai does have Psychic Resistance, so it's not going to be KO'd this turn by the Trevenant and Dusknoir. But if Azul can get enough energy in play and find a switch, a Max Geist could still pick up the knockout here.
Yeah, things are going flawlessly on Azul's side, obviously. Turn 2, he was just casually able to attach 3 energy cards and draw a bunch of cards. But yeah, that resistance coming in, and he draws the energy!
That is exactly what Robin wanted to see. To be fair, it's his most likely top deck is an energy card, but when you don't have any draw supporters in your deck, being able to find that energy is huge, and Robin also going to find the Silvally here off the prizes.
Oh, those are not good prizes. He really needed to find that Dedenne GX. With no type null in play, the Silvally is nice to have, but yeah, this is still going to be rough.
Yeah, I wonder if Robin could have eyed up getting the type null when he got that second Sneasel. Could have been a decent option, and we actually see a really cool tech on Azul's side, that Marshadow here, and this is the exact scenario it's in this deck for, Kyle. It allows you to copy the attack of one of your opponent's active Pokemon, which just knocks out the Galarian Moltres V.
Yeah, that Marshadow is going to be a really cool card to see, but Azul played Marnie, gave Robin a fresh hand and bailed him out. Now things can look completely different. We see a tag call in hand that can go find red and blue. Potentially this gets Robin back in the game. I think it's still going to be very much an uphill battle, but now he's got at least outs to draw something.
This is a closed deck list tournament. Most online tournaments, for the past year and a half have been open deck list, but this event, players did not have access to each other's list. So Azul playing that cheeky one of Marshadow, able to sneak a knockout here. Definitely the exact reason it's in the deck for this instance, specifically when you're going to be attacking into a Galarian Moltres. But thanks to the Marnie, Robin has a few more cards to work with. Like you mentioned, we see the red and blue and the Zoroark and Greninja here. A big Dark Pulse could be incoming.
Yeah, and the hilarious thing is Marshadow only has 60 HP, so that Mew in Robin's hand could potentially be an efficient 1 energy attacker to knock it out. Now, he might just go with Greninja and Zoroark because it's got so much HP. It's likely to tank an attack and keep those energy in play. So we'll see what Robin decides to go for. This is one of those situations where every single resource in your hand is important. You have to make every single correct decision to even give yourself a chance to win the game. We'll see if Robin can navigate his way through this matchup. Obviously he's a world champion, a world-class player, but even the best players in the world could struggle to get through something like this.
Yeah, certainly a tough spot, and that Psi Power play could be pretty nice. It puts a 1 prizer in the active spot as well, but with only 10 HP remaining on Umbreon and Darkrai, it's pretty easy to just go knock out Mew, knock out Umbreon and Darkrai as Azul in this spot. And it looks like Robin here going to go ahead and eye up the type null, knows that there is still a Silvally in the prizes, and also something he could top deck on this turn. Does have to attack with the Zoroark and Greninja. You could attack with the type Null here, but I think, you know, if you wanted to attack with a one prizer, Mew probably would have just been the way to go. So it seems like Zoroark Greninja having a high amount of hit points gonna be in the active spot.
Yeah, this is big because he knows 2 out of his 3 prize cards are big hits. There's Savali GX and a Dedenne GX, and there's Dedenne. So he knew there was a 2/3 chance that he was going to get something big off the prize cards, and Robin is making the most out of what little he has. I think we can say that for sure.
Oh, definitely. Just kind of relying on whatever his top draw is each turn. I mean, and it goes back to that Marnie from Azul. That really did bail Robin out and set a path for him to get back into this game. Azul here playing a ton of energy with that Underworld door, getting some attachments onto the Alcremie V. Could this be the time for Alcremie VMAX to come out and pick up a big one-hit KO?
I think you might be right, Chip. It is going to pretty much burn all of Azul's energy. But there is that Umbreon and Darkrai GX on the bench with just 10 HP, so you can see kind of how this game could play out. We can see Gmax Whisk take this knockout for 3 prize cards, and then all he has to do is find a way to do 10 damage to the Umbreon and Darkrai GX on the bench. Azul just trying to figure out a way to put himself in the best position possible, make it so that there's very little Robin can do to win, and we'll see what happens. But looking at this, I don't know if there's any way Robin can really get a win next turn. He would have to play red and blue to generate enough energy to do a big attack, and Alcremie VMAX is weak to metal, not darkness, so there's not really a way to get a knockout here. But we'll see if Robin can pull off some magic once again.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to be some magic. Has the Sneasel here, which actually has an attack that can discard energy. Azul does have to go down to just 1 energy left in play, and getting rid of an energy here as Robin could be a way to buy a turn. It's also kind of interesting that this is the Sneasel Robin chose to go with. You also have the Agility Sneasel as an option, but this one could come up big time in this specific instance.
It's just so funny to see. Azul has like 35 cards in hand, and Robin had 1 to start the turn. But all right, we do see Dedenne change. I think one thing Robin can do here is he did save his GX attack from earlier in the game. He could Boss's Orders and bring up a Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX and use Dark Moon GX to just prevent something like Air Balloon from being played. It pretty much guarantees that he'll get another turn. And then he potentially can get enough energy in play on the next turn with a red and blue to pull off a big attack to win.
Yeah, I don't know what Robin can attack with, though. Black Lance only deals 150. That's not enough to pick up the knockout onto a Shadow Rider. And I'm pretty sure I remember Robin's second Galarian Moltres is in the prize card, so there's actually not a dark type Pokemon besides that Mega Sableye and Tyranitar GX, and that's, I don't think, something Robin can get 5 energy in play to attack with.
Yeah, he'll actually be 1 short after red and blue. So yeah, I don't know what else you could really do, though. I think you might have to go for the Boss's Orders plus Dark Moon GX this turn. See if anything else develops in a future turn and kind of go from there. You could also just hope your opponent doesn't have Boss's Orders in hand. This turn, just send up Umbreon and Darkrai GX with no damage on it to kind of take the hit for the turn. Azul could get enough energy in play to Gmax Whisk for a knockout, but it would be a lot. I don't know, this is a really hard situation to get out of, and Robin's worked his magic so far, but this one seems a little bit too hard.
Definitely. I mean, just the fact, it's kind of funny that Umbreon and Darkrai, being the big tag team Pokemon, can't pick up the one-hit knockout on a Pokemon that's weak to darkness. It just doesn't quite work. And Robin here going to go ahead and actually just discard that Boss's Orders and go with the red and blue, get the energy cards in play, and can go ahead and utilize Disc Reload. And, you know, if you go with the Dark Moon GX, your opponent can't play Boss's Orders. So that guarantees that they won't win the game on the next turn, but how do you win the game on your next turn?
Yeah, exactly. Especially now that your bench is full. You could have potentially set up something where you red and blue this turn, Dark Moon GX, you red and blue the next turn, and then get the Mega Sableye and Tyranitar down to attack for the win. But now that your bench is full, that's not even an option.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Robin's other Umbreon and Darkrai has so much damage on it, he wasn't able to just rely on that one, because then all Azul needs is a Psychic Energy, and as we see, Viridian Forest is already in play. That's an easy route for Azul to just get the knockout. So Robin had to put this other Umbreon and Darkrai in play if he wanted to go for the Dark Moon GX play and didn't utilize Boss's Orders at the same time and, you know, go for the red and blue. So it's like he's so close to being able to make so many plays that could win him the game, but it looks like he's going to be just short in this one.
Yeah, he is going to go for the Dark Moon GX this turn and just say, okay, I can, I guess, prevent my opponent from winning on this turn, and maybe something will come to me next turn where I figure out how to win. But I'm not sure what he can do. I guess he can kind of hope that maybe Azul's like out of energy or something and figure something out that way. But even this turn, you can use that Adornment and get a bunch of energy into play and charge up for the G-Max Whisk on the next turn. I am not seeing a way out for Robin, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if someone can find a way, it's going to be someone who's a world champion like Robin Schulz. It's looking tough, but he's going to play his best, play to his outs. Looking through the deck here, there is a Boss's Orders, but there's really not even anything to bring up. Gonna not even grab the energy there off of the Viridian Forest, and just the attachment to the active here. Disc reload for one, maybe needing to go for the Boss's Orders. Does not quite find it though.
Yep, can find Mallow and Lana, but not really gonna do anything here. Yeah, at this point, all you can do is attack and hope that in your opponent's 15 card hand they don't have a Boss's Orders.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy path for Azul to win the game. Just KO that Umbreon and Darkrai that only has 10 HP remaining. And if Azul can do that, he'll win game number 1 here and take down the Darkness type deck, the Dark Toolbox from Robin Schulz. Let's see if Azul's got it. Energy plus Boss's Orders, has only 4 cards remaining in deck, about 300 in his hand, it looks like, Kyle, and is going to go ahead and switch. Maybe doesn't have it quite yet, needs to Underworld Door to find it. Let's see, is there a boss off of those 2 cards? And there it is, brings up Umbreon and Darkrai. G-Max Whisk doing just enough to pick up this KO and close out the game.
Yeah, that was a fantastic game from both sides. Obviously, Robin had a very rough game, tough start, terrible prize cards, and Azul got kind of a perfect turn 2 Night Watch with that Trevenant and Dusknoir GX. But credit to Azul, he found a way to take a game off of this, what should be horrendous matchup. And we'll see how it's going to go in the next one.
Yeah, and the game really did come down to that turn 2 Night Watch from Azul. It's kind of a 50-50, right? You're removing 2 cards from Robin's hand, and we saw Robin had, 4 cards in hand, and one of those hits was the red and blue. If Robin had been left with that red and blue, he would have just been easily able to return the KO on Azul's tag team Darkness Week Pokemon, but because that red and blue got put back in the deck, Azul was just able to run away with it, and Robin not playing many draw cards, prizing both Silvally GX. Just wasn't quite able to close it out, but hopefully, Kyle, here in this next one, Robin will have a little more access to his draw Pokemon. That is definitely a key aspect of this game whenever you're only playing one draw supporter in your deck. Let's go ahead and get down to the table and see if Robin can get that set up a little bit better. I would imagine here he will be going first.
Yep, you have predicted correctly. But yeah, I think that was a tough game for Robin to navigate through. You can see with barely any resources, he still almost won the game. So you can see how much of a positive matchup this probably is for the most part. And we'll see if this one goes any differently. Azul does start with Mewtwo and Mew GX, which for the most part is fine, but we know Robin plays his own Mewtwo and Mew GX. That could come up later, hitting for Psychic Weakness.
Yeah, definitely. You want to be careful as Robin putting a Mewtwo in play too early, since obviously everything else in Azul's deck that attacks is also a psychic type. But that could be a way for Robin to close out the game later on, just with a boss's orders, throw down a Mewtwo. You know, plenty of attacks for you to copy with Mewtwo and Mew's perfection ability that would allow you to pick up a knockout on an opposing psychic weak Pokemon. Azul's going to kick things off here with the Pokemon Communication and puts a Crobat V into the deck right away. Definitely wants to get a bunch of Shadow Rider Calyrex V into play.
Yeah, what could be even more disgusting later on is Mewtwo and Mew GX copying Mega Sableye and Tyranitar's Greedy Crush to knock out Mewtwo and Mew GX for 4 prize cards. That would be devastating.
Oh, geez. I hope we see it, Kyle. Greedy Crush, one of my favorite attacks, just because, I mean, it's so costly, but it does so much damage, and it awards you that extra prize card. And it's a lot easier to pull off nowadays in this Darkness Toolbox deck, thanks to the Galarian Moltres, just allowing you to get so many more energies into play.
Definitely. You were talking earlier about the kind of first incarnations of the Dark Box deck, all the way back to when we were using Naganadel to charge up energy that way. Now you have Galarian Moltres V. Turns out when you have a basic Pokemon that does that, your deck goes a lot smoother.
Oh, definitely. Makes a big time difference, which is why there has been such a resurgence of this deck with the release of Chilling Reign. A lot of the cards in this Darkness Toolbox deck are very close to rotating out of the format. In just about a month, we'll have the standard format rotation, which happens every single year. And all of these Sun and Moon era cards, all of these tag teams will be leaving the format. So this could be kind of a last hurrah for this deck, Kyle.
Definitely could be. Now here from Azul, he does discard the Trevenant and Dusknoir and Gengar and Mimikyu GX. And yeah, we're going to see the Horror House GX. This is going to put Robin in a tough spot. This is something I've gotten used to doing now when I play online. Just hitting done immediately after my opponent uses Horror House GX, because there's nothing you can do. But this could set up a turn 2, perhaps Boss's Orders onto the Sneasel and take that out of play, so that Robin has no access to evolving to Weavile GX, and more importantly, playing red and blue. But nope, just going to be a Marnie.
I'm going to go ahead and go with that Marnie. Reset Robin's hand a little bit. We actually see Robin had a pretty solid one to work with, provided Sneasel did not get KO'd like you mentioned. And this one's a little bit weaker. I mean, Robin won't be able to attack on the next turn. Is kind of 2 turns away from being able to do anything with this set of 4 cards, since you need a turn to evolve the type Null into Silvally GX.
I can't wait for Azul to Poltergeist here, though.
Poltergeist 0 for 0 damage?
It's like a simultaneous what? And, oh, okay, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Oh, man, I'm not doing any damage. Oh, you have nothing. Okay, I guess I'll take that.
Yeah, you're not doing damage either. Okay.
Azul going to play that Evolution Incense. Is going to go ahead and grab the Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX out of the deck. We can see more Underworld doors coming out. And Evolution Incense, something I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of. You know, we talked about rotation a little bit earlier. You know, Pokemon Communication has been a great way for players to search their decks recently. That is going to leave the standard format here soon. So with VMAXs being as popular as they are, with that Intellion engine being as popular as it is, I think we're going to see a lot more Evolution Incense in decks in the next few months.
Yeah, I think we can just take a moment to acknowledge Evolution Incense. All the people who've been scarred by Timer Ball flipping through tails don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, thank goodness. Timer Ball. I think I'm probably lifetime like 30% on that card of getting even just 1 single heads. It just never worked out for me, but we're going to see Azul here just keep setting things up, getting some energies in play. The only attack he can go with, since he's already attached for turn, is going to be that Poltergeist, which, like we mentioned, is going to be dealing 0 damage here. And yeah, there it is, the good old no damage Poltergeist.
The power of tag team Pokemon. 2 energy, 0 damage.
These things are just way too strong, Kyle. What are they doing in this game? Dealing so much damage for 2 energy?
Yep. All right, now Robin has a very awkward spot. Again, go figure. So he can play down his cards, you know, play down Umbreon and Darkrai, attach an energy, but he knows Azul has Trevenant and Dusknoir GX, and if he just puts down energy and doesn't do anything else, I mean, Azul's just going to Night Watch, right? He's going to try to take away your other cards. And that means you're not going to have Silvally GX in hand anymore. So do you play down more cards? Do you just play or hold everything in your hand and hope that your Silvally stays in your hand? It's an impossible situation.
Yeah, I definitely expect Robin to at least keep 3 cards in hand, and we do see that is what happens. It is at least giving himself a chance to keep Silvally GX around, but it's not a very good one. 33% chance that that thing will remain in hand. Otherwise, Azul with the 2/3 option to just put it back into the deck, and I believe that Trevenant and Dusknoir did already get discarded, so all Azul needs here is a basic Psychic Energy, and Night Watch is really just going to really hurt Robin's setup, and that's the same thing we saw in game 1. Robin's deck needs a lot of setup. It needs a while to get going, and Night Watch is the perfect answer to set up decks like this.
Yeah, it's brutal because all you really need is Silvally GX, and then you don't have to worry about that anymore, right? You can always just reload your hand. But if it hits you before you get that into play, your hand can be destroyed and you might never recover. Now, the interesting thing is Azul has already got infinite energy in play. He could just max Geist and knock out Galarian Moltres V here. We'll see if he wants to go for that.
Yeah, it could be a decent option. Azul does know 2 of these 3 cards in Robin's hand, so knows that Robin has the Silvally GX ready to draw cards, so can draw out of this spot, but we'll go ahead and just value taking the prizes. It's kind of a lot for Robin to find to get a response knockout here, even though he's obviously able to hit for Dark type weakness, but it's very possible here, Kyle, if Robin can find a Galarian Moltres, get that set up, and there's a tag call as well. That finds the red and blue right away.
Yeah, that was the card he really needed to draw this turn. You need to red and blue to get those energy into play. Now there's a chance you can red and blue, basically play your hand down to 0, reload back up to 5. We could certainly see a return knockout here. It's just, first of all, can you pull it off? You're only going to be able to draw 5 cards. Maybe you could get to Dene GX and kind of extend your turn that way. And then it's just, can you keep doing this every turn? But yeah, it's got to start here. It's got to be red and blue, get some energy into play, find something that can take a knockout, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so awkward. Has to go with the Zoroark and Greninja just because Umbreon and Darkrai just doesn't do enough damage. You could, start to ping some damage down onto that Dedenne GX, but I mean, something else we should consider, Kyle, there is that Dedenne GX in play. So a path to victory for Robin could be getting a 3-prize knockout here and then targeting down Dedenne GX with the Greedy Crush, taking the 3-prize knockout. That's kind of the dream as the Dark Toolbox player, getting a 3-prize knockout on a VMAX and then a 3-prize knockout on a Dedenne.
Yep. Now, the awkward part here is Silvally GX does have a 2 retreat cost.
Right.
You do have to move this out of the active spot, and you have to do it this turn, otherwise you give up 2 more prize cards. And Azul's got a very easy path to victory, so we do need to see some way to move this Silvally GX out of the active. If not, uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh indeed. 2 air balloons in Robin's list, no copies of Switch. So those being the only way to move this out of the active this turn. And Robin, just understands, is gonna be too far behind at this point. Azul is a great player, not gonna make any major misplays that would allow Robin to find a path back into that one. And Azul GG takes a 2-0 victory.
Yeah, we've had all 2-0s so far. Players just one-sided matchups. Weird, you would think that one was heavily favored for Robin, but Azul is going to take it, just showing the power of having a very consistent deck, using Underworld Door 2 or 3 times turn 2. You're just going to win a lot of games that way.
Yeah, the Trevenant and Dusknoir definitely being the key card as well. Just being able to prey on the fact that Robin's deck requires so much setup. You're able to play the Marnie, put them at just 4 cards, and you're putting half of those cards right back into the deck. So just limits your opponent's setup so much, and Azul really rode the back of the Trevenant and Dusknoir in that one, at least in game number 1, and then just able to start swinging for big knockouts in game number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And then game number 2, it was the Horror House GX buying that extra turn, really throwing off Robin's momentum. So those 2 different tag team Pokemon, even though this is normally considered a VMAX deck, sometimes those tag teams can still get in there and cause a lot of disruption.
Definitely. Well, we've got one more game here in the winners round number 1. This is going to be the first match from either of any of these players, and that is going to be Henry Brand going up against Alex Szymanski. And I'm excited for this one. The most recent world champion going up against the most recent Players Cup champion. Both of these guys have been at the top of their game this whole year. Henry's done pretty well in some online tournaments, I know, and has been, playing a lot, streaming, all that kind of stuff, and has been just, putting himself out there really up on his game and is playing a really interesting deck. So I'm excited to see how that is going to play out. But first, let's go ahead and get to know Alex a little bit better.